Hello and welcome to today's Bitrix24 webinar, HR Toolkit. Okay, thank you for joining today. My name's Sam Connor, Sales Engineer here at Interface, and we are a Bitrix24 Gold Partner. We're based in the UK, in New York and Hong Kong, and we offer a full range of services to help you with Bitrix24, starting off with pre-sale support so we can discuss your requirements and provide a bespoke demonstration to see if Bitrix24 would be suitable for your business. If it is, we can then set up the system for you and implement any specific requirements that you have. If you're looking at a self-hosted edition, we offer our own hosting services, and we can then provide training and ongoing dedicated support to really help you get the most out of Bitrix24. So if you're new to Bitrix, if you're joining the webinar today to look at the HR features, you may be interested to know really what Bitrix24 is. And it is a collaboration suite of well over 40 plus tools now to help you in managing your business. There are over 8 million customers around the world that use Bitrix24. And the system is available as a cloud-based solution and also a self-hosted system. And prices start from around $19 per month for a cloud system and just short of $1,500 for a self-hosted lifetime license. Okay, so thank you for joining today. We're going to be looking at the HR features in the HR Toolkit today. And really what we should do first of all is just understand why you should use Bitrix24 to manage your HR requirements. So Bitrix has lots of tools for easily finding employees. You can manage your users' work time and also have an area for storing personal information such as appraisal documents. It's very simple and easy to use, not just for your team, but for anybody in the business. It's really useful for creating your own self-service forms, for managing different types of requests, such as managing absences, expenses, or purchase requests. And later on in the webinar, we'll be looking at a few different ways of how you can manage self-service processes. And you can also create your very own custom processes, such as maybe onboarding for new starters. So we create a selection of processes that have to take place. So you can customize your own HR processes in Bitrix24. Okay, so first of all, let's have a look at some of the key HR tools that we have in the Bitrix24 system. And here are some of the features now that we're going to have a look at in the first section of the webinar. As we go through, please do add any questions into the chat box and we can run through those at the end of this first part of the session. Okay, so we've just opened up our Bitrix24 system. So the first area we're going to look at here is actually how we can build our own profile inside Bitrix24. So every user on Bitrix has their own profile. So in the top right-hand corner here, you have your own profile. Now, on our demonstration site here, you can see we have an avatar, so Max Smith and a picture. You can have real pictures of yourself and all of your colleagues in the Bitrix24 system. So there I could insert my own picture of myself, and on the right hand side I can add all of the details about myself, and if I want to make these accessible to other people, I can add those fields in here. So I can select from some standard fields, and I can also add custom fields. So maybe I want to store specific details or information in my profile page, so I could add a brand new field into here. So I might want to add starting date, for example. So I can add that field into here and then select my starting date when I started in the role. Okay, so you can save and add your own custom fields into here to really make this bespoke for your profile. And inside here, I can see at the top, there's different tabs. So I can go into here, I might want to quickly open up my drive area. So it opens up my drive space with all of my documents. I can also click on my calendar and it will connect and open up my calendar in the system. So you've got these different tabs at the top to quickly route yourself into different areas of the Bitrix24 system. Okay, so that's an individual user. Now, one other thing to mention in here is there's going to be lots of, when we go into the activity stream where we communicate with different people, you will want to set notifications to make sure you're keeping up to date and being made aware of any conversations with any of the members of your departments in Bitrix. And there's 3 different ways we can set notifications. So these can be on the Bitrix application itself. You can receive a notification to an email address and also receive a notification to the Bitrix24 mobile app. So you can receive a push notification. And later on, we're going to send a message to everybody in the Bitrix system to notify them about a critical message. So you can see how that notification system works later on. Okay, so that's an individual user. Now, one other thing to mention, you can see across here who else is on your Bitrix24 account system. So in here I can see we've got 2 people logged in right now, so I can see who is online during as my webinar is going on right now. And we can also build out a company structure where we add every user to their relevant area of the system. So inside here, you can add all of your different departments that your organization has. And we can then add each user to their relevant department. But it could also be multiple departments that you add that user to. And it's useful to look at, first of all. So if you're new to the business, this is a really nice display to look at just to familiarize yourself with the organization. But this structure also has meaning behind it. So when we go and look at later on how we build some processes, we could use this structure for when we are running, say, absence requests. So anybody in the IT UK, it will go to Mark Hope, who is the manager of the IT department, and so on. So we can run approval processes based on this company structure. And everybody in your Bitrix system, you're able to communicate with them. And we'll be looking at communication in a bit more detail shortly, but you have a chat and calls feature. So you can set up conversations with individual users. It could be in departments. So for example, here in the marketing department, we have our online chat system going. So I can instantly message, I can video call and voice call any of the users in our Bitrix24 system. And everything in these conversations gets saved. So you have a history where you can search through and see all of that information. So it's really useful for conversations with the rest of your team in your business. Okay, so let's look at individual users and building out your company structure. One last thing to mention here is you also have an employee directory. So inside here, I can see all of the users in our business, and I can select what fields of information are displayed in here in this employee database area. And I can also filter through this if I want to quickly find any specific person in the system. And I can click on their profile here and it will open up their profile page. Okay, now moving on to the time management aspect of Bitrix24. So this is available on all the self-hosted editions and the professional cloud edition. One feature you have is the ability to record users' time for each working day in the system. So at the top here, we have a clock-in feature. So this is where you're able, as each user, to record the amount of time that you are working each day. So you're able to clock in. You can then clock out as you're taking breaks. So you can see right now we're currently taking a break, and I'm going to now clock back in, and this will now start recording my working time again in the system. And every user that uses this functionality, it will then store that data in the time and reports module. So I can go into our working time section and I can then see each user in the system and what they have reported in their working day. So I can currently go into our user here and you can see the amount of time that has been logged for every user in the system. So you can see here that this user clocked in today at 9:50. They've taken 12 minutes of break and they're not clocked out yet. So it's still recording the amount of time in the system. And as a HR person, you'd be able to see that across all of your different users in all of their different departments. And you can also create filters as well. So you might want to look at a certain time period, for example, so you can filter through this and find specific times in the platform. So this is a really useful feature to be able to see the amount of time each user has logged in the system. Okay, so and we'll have a look later on the mobile app, how you can use the mobile application as well to record time. And you can also record time on individual tasks as well. So you could assign a task to a user in the system. And if you go into any of those tasks, so I'm just going to go into one of our tasks in the platform. You can go into here and you can then record the amount of time that is spent on any individual tasks that you create in the system. So I'm in a task here and I can now click into here and it will start recording that time on an individual task as well. Okay, so let's look at the time management features, and we're going to look later on at the absence management area as well, how we can book holiday leave in the system. Moving on, we mentioned as well how you can have your own personal drive area, and we saw how this connected with the profile page. So in Bitrix24, you have your own personal drive space where you can store files and folders and information. So for example, here we've got a performance review. And on any of these documents, you can grant access rights. So for example, here we've shared this with our manager who has read access. You might want to share this with other people, so I can click on the filter in here and I can select who else is able to access this particular document. It could be certain departments as well. So this talks with that company structure that we built. And I'm going to give Mary, for example, full access to that document. So you can store those documents in here. You can upload those from a local computer, or you can integrate with different applications to connect those documents into the system. Now, if you do connect with one of those external applications, you also have the ability then to edit those documents inside the system. So if we just go into one of our documents here, for example, I can go into the edit mode and it will allow me to edit that document in a plugin feature here. So I can go into this document and I can then go through here and start to edit it without leaving the Bitrix system. Okay, so I'm going to save that in the system now, and that will then be saved on that document, and we can then see the history as well. So any changes that are made to this document, you will see in the revision history. So here you can see we've just logged that new change, and you can go into any of these documents on the revision log and it will open up to show you that document at that specific stage, and you can restore the document back to that specific edition if you wish to. Okay, and we can also run business processes on documents. So if we go into our company drive area, you could store your company-wide information inside here, maybe set permissions for different departments for what they're able to access, and we can run processes. So for example, on this document that's been uploaded, we might get an approval from the manager first of all before other people are able to access the document. So you can run processes on documents as well. And everything is filterable. So if I wanted to search through here to find any types of folders or files, you can easily search through the drive module to find that information. Okay, so that's an area where we can store documents and files in Bitrix. Really, most importantly, in Bitrix24, you want to be able to engage with your other users and employees in the system. And what we have here is the activity stream. And the activity stream is your personal newsfeed area. So inside here, you'll see all information, all posts, any comments that you are associated with. And inside here, there are lots of different types of posts that you can create and send out to other people. So inside here, I might want to send out a message to the rest of our team. So I can create messages, I can attach documents, I could send a link or even insert a video. I could even record a video in this message. And once I've created this message here, I can then decide who I want to send this to. So it could go to an individual user, it could go to a certain department, or it could be actually I want to send this out to all employees. So within the activity stream, you can create your own posts and messages here and then send this out to other people in the system. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to send this out to everybody in the business. And what you'll see is if we just go on to another profile, you'll see here that message is now being fed into everybody's activity stream. And other users on here, they can also add their own comments. So on any posts that you submit, other users are able to collaborate with you. So it's really useful for collaboration. We can see that message now. And within the activity stream, you can also create tasks. So you might want to create a task for a user in the system. You might want to create an event. So there may be an event and you want to bring people to this. So I can choose a time for the event. And I can select other people who I want to join on this event, and it will show their availability. So I'm going to move this to when everybody is available. And I'm going to save that now in the system. So you can create events. You can also create polls. So this is really useful if you want to add maybe a question to the rest of the team, and they can then select based on certain answers. So you can make it quite a fun and interactive type of post. You can also send appreciations. So with this, you can actually send a badge to a specific people for maybe doing a really good job on a piece of work. So I'm going to send this message to everybody, and the badge is going to be sent out to a certain user in the system. So let's send this out to, let's have a look. Let's send this to Mary, for example. So I'm going to send this to Mary, and it's going to go out there as an appreciation. And once you send a badge in here, any badges you get as an appreciation, they are fed into your profile. So I can go back into my profile here, and you can see all the appreciations that I have been awarded. And I can click on that appreciation, and it shows me who sent it and all of the details about that specific appreciation. And the last type of post in here I just want to mention is an announcement. So within here, any critical type of message, you can actually force the user to mark it as read. Okay, so what we might see in here is staff room. It's going to be closed today. And I'm just going to keep this message pinned to the top for one day because it's only being closed for a day. And I'm going to send that to the rest of our business. So what with an announcement, so it's slightly different. So if I just show you in here now, you can see here it's been pinned at the top in the announcement patch here. So you can see it's pinned into here. And we can also make a user mark this as read. So I'm going to click on here, and I'm going to just send a comment back as well. And if we just go back into here as well, we get that notification that that's been commented on, and we can see here who has marked it as read as well. So that's a really useful feature as well. So you can see who has marked any announcement as read in the system. So that's really useful for any critical messages that you have. And we've also got a company pulse. And the company pulse gives an overview of which areas of the system users are using the most. So you can search either by individual users or on a company-wide basis. And this just shows you where in your Bitrix24 system people are using different areas. And if there are different areas that people aren't using, you might want to send a message into the activity stream, making people aware of different features and how they could use them in the system. So you can start to help people to actually use and benefit from more areas of the Bitrix24 system. Okay, so let's look at some of the HR tools. Let's just see if there are any questions that you would like to go through in this section. Yeah, there will be a recording of this webinar that you will get. Can take up to 24 hours once the webinar has been completed. But yes, you will get a full recording of this. Okay, can an employee be in more than one department? Yes, absolutely. So you might have an employee in several different departments in the system. You can add an employee to any areas once you have created those departments in your company structure. Okay, how do I start a new chat with an employee? So we've mentioned in the activity stream how you can create an announcement, for example. But if you just wanted to start, say, a brand new chat, if I just go into the chat and call feature, what you can do here is you have a pencil button. And if I just click on here, I can create a personal chat. So I could go into here and then create that in the system. So I could search through our team and it can then find me that person. And I can then create that chat like so. And as we mentioned earlier on, it doesn't just have to be an instant chat. So you can do video calls and voice calls as well. So there's lots of different ways you can communicate with other people. And if you want to invite additional people into this chat, you just click on the invite button here. Okay, if there are any other questions, please do add them into the question box and we'll run through those in the next section. Okay, so now let's have a look at some live examples of different processes that you can run in the HR area of Bitrix. So one of the most popular types is absence requests. So this is a standard leave approval workflow with any commercial edition of Bitrix24. So this allows you to submit for leave in the system and it then goes through an approval process to either be authorized or rejected. So let's just go back into our Bitrix system and let's go back into the activity stream area, because within the activity stream section, what we can do is we can go into the MAR area and we can use the workflow feature here. So you can see there's a selection of different workflows that we can run, and we're going to run the leave approval. So inside here, I can now start to run my leave approval request. And we can see there's 4 different fields here. So we've got start date, end date, absence type, and then may also want a reason as well that we need to add. You can customize what information needs to be added into this specific form. So I'm going to first of all select my start dates. So I'm going to say later on in the year. And we're going to run that just for a few days. Okay, so I'm going to submit that, and that will now go to my manager to either approve or to reject. So if we go into here, we can see we've got that new approval request. All the information has been added into here. So I'm going to now start this particular request, and I'm going to approve that in the system. Okay, so it's been approved and we've been notified that my manager has approved that. If we go into the time and reports area and we go into, we put that in as August, you can see now that annual leave has been added into the absence chart. So the absence chart will show you all of the leave across all of the users in your business. So it's really easy to be able to quickly ascertain who is available inside the business at any given time. Okay, so that's the kind of the front end of that approval. Let's just have a look at the back end of that process in the system. So the way processes are created is using a workflow. And any of these workflows that you use in Bitrix, they can be customized. So this is that leave approval that we ran. So we requested the leave, it's then gone to our supervisor, and we either approve or we reject that request. And if it's approved, we're going to go down this particular chain here. So we're going to notify the user and it's going to be added into the absence chart. But if it's rejected, we're not going to do this. We're just going to go down to the right hand side here and we're going to notify the requester that the leave has been denied. So you can fully customize these workflows. So on the right hand side, there are different action blocks that you can use. So maybe actually if it's authorized, I want to create a task for the user. Or if it's rejected, I'm going to send them an email as well. Maybe I actually want to add a further condition, maybe a second approval process into here. So it's a fully customizable workflow process. Okay, so that's using the process designer. Now I also want to show you a slightly different way that you can also build workflows. So you could use that process as well for maybe submitting expenses. But Bitrix has also created a brand new process tool called the Robotic Process Designer. And the reason they built this is because there were people who found using that process designer tool a bit too complex. So what Bitrix have done is they've created a more simplified way of creating your very own workflows in the system. And it's all done, if you're familiar with the CRM system, it uses the stages and automation processes just like in the CRM. So you can see here, for example, if I just go back, we've actually created some different types of workflows such as business trips to be authorized, expenses, new employee onboarding processes. So you can create your very own workflows inside the robotic process tool. And what you do is you create stages. So if I just go into our settings area here, what you do is you create your very own stages for that workflow. So for example, this is an expenses workflow. So we have a very simple process here where we're going to submit the expenses, the first stage, and then the next stage is the approval by the supervisor. And then we're going to either the expenses authorized or the expenses declined. So it's a very simple workflow. But what you can do is you can add your own stages into here. So you could add as many stages as you like into that workflow. And once you've created those stages, we can then create automation. And this is what then helps to process that workflow. So as soon as the expense is submitted, we're going to notify the supervisor from that user, and we're going to automatically move this request to the supervisor approval stage. And there's lots of different types of automations you can run. Maybe you might want it to create a task for somebody in the system and so on. So at each stage here, you can customize the automation rules that take place. So if I just show you this, for example, one last thing to mention is when you're creating the workflow as well, you add your own fields. So that form we looked at earlier on, this is where we actually add those different types of fields. So for the expense here, we're going to be adding the name, the amount, when the expense is dated, and so on. So you can add those fields into here. So first of all, I'm going to add a new expense into here. So afternoon meeting refreshments. Let's add a price into there, and we're going to put that on as tomorrow when the expense is going to be occurred. So I'm going to save that now in the system. And we can see automatically it's gone now to our supervisor to hopefully approve in the system. And we can see as that person, we've been notified. So I can click on that workflow and it will open up that workflow area. So it brings through this page. It's a really useful page here because it shows you everything about that request. So it's brought through all of those details that we've added, when it was submitted, what stage it's at in the system. And I'm going to approve that expense. We also have a comment section. So you might want to add a comment here or tag somebody in this particular request. So I'm going to approve it in the system. And we can see now it's automatically updated to the approval section. Okay, so I can go into here and I can look at all of the completed requests, and the afternoon meeting refreshments has been authorized. And we can see when it was authorized in that full log of information. So everything you add into here gets logged as well. And if I just go back into the area where we can see all of the different types of workflows, if I just show you, for example, the new employee onboarding workflow, the stages are completely different. So we begin the onboarding, it then goes to the HR department to manage. It's then going to work its way through to the manager, and then we're going to have a welcome meeting. So you can see here different types of stages that you can create. It's a fully customizable workflow process. Okay, so that's a look at the workflow process designer in the system. Now let's just have a look at the mobile application as well. So we've mentioned how you can clock in and clock out using the mobile app. So let's just have a quick look at how the mobile application can be used for managing your time as well. Okay, so we'll just have the mobile app open here. So this is the Bitrix24 mobile application. So you can see all of the features. We can see all those notifications that we've been working on today. So you can see all of those in the system. You can see that holiday leave approval that's been authorized in the system. So everything that you've been notified about, any conversations, we can see all of our different chats in the system. That marketing department chat we were discussing earlier on. I can add my own messages back into here. And that will then go to the team. So all of these different features we've been looking at today, you can manage using the mobile application. If I go into our work time management area, again, I might want to clock out and start recording my break time again in the system. So you don't need to be on the computer or your laptop. You can use the mobile application to communicate, to manage your working day, to see those workflows in the system, what you need to start. So that approval document we looked at earlier on, I can go into here and approve those. So the mobile application is a really useful tool to continue managing your business on the move. Okay, so that's a look there at the mobile application. Okay, so let's just see if there are any other questions. Okay, so how can time tracking be implemented on a lesser plan? It can't be. So if you want to use those time tracking features where you can clock in and clock out, you will need the professional cloud edition of Bitrix24, or it is available on any of the self-hosted editions. So you will need that plan if you want to have access to the time management clock in, clock out feature. Okay, so in summary today, we've looked at how we can build our profile and company structure in the system, and also how that company structure is used in lots of different areas of the system, from communications through to approval processes. We've seen how we can use the clock in and clock out feature to record our time, and how we can also use the mobile app to use the time management feature. We've got the Drive module where we can store files and folders and also edit documents if we integrate with external applications. We've looked at the different ways we can engage with our employees, from posts and appreciations through to critical announcements where we can authorize and force users to make sure they have read those messages. And we've also looked at the different types of self-service workflows that you can create using the Process Designer and also the Robotic Process Automation tool. Okay, so thank you for joining the HR Toolkit webinar today. I hope you found that useful. If you do have any other questions in the meantime, please do email sales@interface.com. Our details are on the page here. And here are a selection of the up and coming webinars that are available. Every Tuesday, we're live at 11 a.m. Eastern Time with those webinars. So hopefully you can join us for those as well.